Hi, welcome to the Ambient iPad. Let's make some music. I'm going to continue on with my series of using the Mellotron M4000D Mini with the Gauss Field Looper to build up some soundscapes. We'll add some drums in, and then I'll do some soloing over the top of that. Today we're concentrating on the sounds of the Mellotron M400. The Mellotron's mono output, as usual, is going into a Focusrite Scarlett 18i8 interface, which then communicates with the iPad back and forth through a USB-C hub. We're using Garageband today for one simple reason. I've had a lot of issues with screen recording on the iPad and apeMatrix, and typically it turns off in the middle and doesn't save anything. So I have not been able to figure out what it is. It started happening when I had the 11-inch iPad, and I completely erased that and started from scratch with the latest OS, and that didn't solve the issue. Same thing with the new 12.9. I set it up as a brand new iPad, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And unfortunately, you can see up here the icon is showing me that screen recording is going on. In apeMatrix, I didn't have that. I had to keep going in and out, so it was getting kind of frustrating. So I'm gonna try GarageBand to see if it works. We've also got Cubasis, we can try that, but I'm hoping with GarageBand, because it is a native iPad app from Apple, that we're not going to have as many issues. I've never used Gauss with GarageBand, so we're going to see if this is actually going to work. So I just use a basic lead vocal patch because we're processing external audio. And when I zero everything out and then go into the if we go into the actual effects, and I'll just get rid of all these and we'll start from scratch. Luckily, I don't really use, we only have 4 slots here. And so I'll end up using a track for drums. I'll use a track for Gauss, I believe. Like I said, I've never done this before, so this is going to be an interesting experiment. I would prefer to use apeMatrix. I like apeMatrix. This has nothing to do with do I want to use apeMatrix or not. But I'm not seeing the screen recording issue happening with any other app. So nice long-winded explanation, but that explains why we're in GarageBand today and we're not in apeMatrix. Okay, so the M400 is essentially the Mellotron of the 1970s. It was a more portable model, so a lot of bands used it on the road and in the studio. It has some unique sounds to it that were not on previous versions of the Mellotron. Cello, some brass, and choirs. There were no choirs on the earlier versions. It reused some tapes from previous models too, most notably the flutes from the Mark I. And the M400 had interchangeable tape racks. Each tape rack could hold 3 sets of tapes, so 3 distinct sounds. I believe the rack that came with the M400 had flutes, violins, and brass on it. And you could switch between all 3 sounds. It was a lever 1, 2, 3 that would essentially move all the tape heads from one tape set to another. And you could put that lever between as well. So you could go between 1 and 2 and you would get sounds 1 and 2. And that's the reason why there's a mix knob on the modern Mellotron, so you can do a very similar thing. So the first thing I want to do is get some effects going. We'll run through some of the unique sounds. We'll get the drum line going. We'll get Gauss going, and then I'll do a live jam. So let's start with chorus, something different, the QuatroMod. I've never used that before. And let's add them all in, and then we'll go back and actually tweak them. I want to use a phaser. Haven't used PhaseThree in a while. Let's add. So here's the thing. I'm not sure if I have to add Gauss as an effect or if it's a separate track. If it's an effect, I'm going to have to get rid of one of these things. But I don't know if it treats I don't know if it treats it as an effect or if it treats it as a synth, nor do I know if it matters in GarageBand. I'm always using apeMatrix for this. But anyways, let's go through this. We can always change. K7D, I'm just going to stick with my traditional tape delay, and we do need a reverb. So I did buy a new reverb. Never used this one before. I wonder if this is contributing to the screen recording not working. I mean, I've gotten farther than I did in apeMatrix. The good thing about having the screen recording icon there is I can actually keep checking as we go along. Okay, let's go into these. And chorus, just a touch. And then I've used this patch before, so I just raise this up a little. To be honest, we're not going to use the chorus and phaser that much, but I do want to have them set up. My, how pleasant. Just a basic. And K7D, we're using my defaults, basic tape delay, got that. And then the audio reverb, which is a new app I just got, Concert Hall. All right, so we've got all of the effects set up, and they're all going. Okay, it's a little soft, but I know from the past I easily get distortion on Garageband, so I'll raise this up maybe a little at the interface. See, it's getting a little crackling. All right, let's go through these. Whoops, let's go through these one by one. So QuatroMod. You know what? Actually, I take that back. Let me get the reverb going. I just want to turn it on. Thank you. All right. I want to just walk quickly through some of the unique sounds. Interestingly, the M400 uses the same tapes as the Mark II for the violins, but there's a way they essentially cut all the high end out. So this is the M400. All right, and this is the Mark II. A lot higher, a lot abrasive. The mix between the two. So, and I think the M400, it's just a little too muddy, but add in a little of the Mark II. There you go. But of course, you get some of that weird phasiness because of the individual tapes. Anyways, we're not using the Mark II. Moving on, cello. It's another one that is not on previous models. And because, again, with the Mellotron, each individual key was its own tape. So if somebody made some noise or was just a little off with intonation, you're going to hear that. Interestingly, with the cello, the person that they recorded for each of the notes of the cello would only play the cello so low. So to get the rest of the notes, so he said, nope, not doing anything below C. So that's why you get that different sound, because it's actually string bass bowed. All right. Voices, choirs. This is really the hallmark of the M400. These weren't on any previous model. So there's an 8-voice choir. This is a combination of the male and female vocals. And then you get 4-voice female. A little crackling there. And the male. And there's also boys. A little higher pitched, a little distortion on there. Let's turn this down slightly on the interface. All right. And then a custom choir. This is essentially everything. Bass flute, oboe. Bass flute is... All right, oboe. This is a great one. I like that. We're definitely going to use that. English horn, bassoon. Oh, 2 saxes. This is a great one too. And because it's 2 people, so they recorded 2 people with each note, there's some notes where one person comes in a little later than the other. But that's the beauty of the Mellotron, is those idiosyncrasies. All right, and brass was the same. All right, That's essentially, I mean, there are some other unique sounds, but for our purposes, that's what we got. All right, so we've got the effects going. They all work. Now let's move on to, let's add in the drums. I went the wrong way. I should have gone this way. As an audio unit, audio extension. So we want analog 909. Oh, you know, we have to change the tempo, but, you know, let's just start with a 4 on the floor. And a couple of things that I need to do here is we want the tempo. Let's go to 90. And we want to make sure that we're not looping here, so we go automatic. Let's turn this on and see if it's working. Okay, not crazy about those drum sounds. Let's go in and tweak these a little. Let's get the decay. And then the snare, we definitely want to go up. Get the decay down. All right. Let's get some hi-hat here. Let's start with the open. Another drum at the end there. Kind of get the hi-hats to roll a little. Add an extra one. Okay, that's good. Now, one thing I have to do is pay attention to muting this. All right, so that works. Let's go back here. Let's add in, we definitely want a little bit of reverb. And I mean, I could just use the reverb that's on there. Let's try this. Okay, obviously too big, but. Puts a little space around it. Really, I wouldn't do anything different in Adverb 2, which is probably what I would use, so I like this. Okay, we're yellowing here for some reason, so let's, not that it matters. I find with GarageBand, it's very forgiving. Sometimes I'm even redlining and it's not distorting. Okay, drums are good. I'm not sure how to bring the drums in. I'm really in an apeMatrix frame of mind here. Let's go back here. All right, Gauss is the thing I'm not sure about. I just don't know how this is going to work. This will help me here, because if Gauss isn't on this list, and it does not look like it's there, so Gauss is in effect. Yes, Gauss is an effect. All right, so we got to give up one effect. So let's try this. Let's get this down to 8. And the sequencer, I want to do some different things. Inertia up, even though we're not going to go to a slower speed, but let's just get some stuff going here. Nothing's happening. Oh, you probably have to. Oh, great. Nope. Given I can't figure out how to get Gauss going here. I'm sure there's a way to do it, but I'm lost. So you know what I'm going to try to do is, so we use GarageBand to run through some of the sounds, run through some of the effects. I'm going to set up all that similarly in apeMatrix again, and I'll try to do a screen recording, and hopefully that'll work. But for the next jam, I'll have all this figured out. Let's go to apeMatrix, try to get the jam going. thanks for your patience in sitting all through that. It was a little frustrating for me not having apeMatrix work right with this iPad screen recording. I don't mind using Garageband, but of course I never figured out how to use Gauss Looper with it, so I couldn't do that. Luckily, apeMatrix worked long enough that I could record the jam. So we've got the introductory bit in Garageband to walk through the sounds and the effects, and then I was able to use apeMatrix for the jam itself. I left some of the frustrating moments in here because anyone who makes music knows it can be extremely frustrating and take a lot of time. So I think that comes through on this video. I will go and figure out maybe I can get apeMatrix to work. If not, I'm happy using GarageBand or even Cubase's as long as I can use the apps that I want to use. Well, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and good luck with your own music.